to Between Two Ellens. My name is Representative Ellen Hefner, House District 87.
And I'm Ellen Pogamiller, representative for House District 88. And we are so honored to have with us today Representative Suzanne Schreiber, who is also a former school board member that represents HD 70 in Tulsa. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you so much for having me.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Suzanne Schreiber from House District 70, like you said. Most important part of that is I do represent the beautiful city of Tulsa. The 918 can't be beat. I am a mom. Mom first. I have an awesome husband that helps me do this job. I am a lawyer. I practiced law for a long time. I work for a large foundation in Tulsa and have been in the legislature for 3 years. And I am coming off of representing the Tulsa Public School Board for 8 years. And I was the president and vice president of the board during superintendent changes, during COVID, and it prepared me well. Sometimes I make a joke that I had to run for the state house to get off the school board. And it is an easier job.
I can only imagine.
Yes.
So one of the reasons that we brought you on today is I would call you our kind of caucus child care expert. And I don't think you can turn on the news or open the paper, if people still open a paper, without learning about a child care challenge that we're having in our community. Most recently this week, Integris is closing their child care doors in August. So if you can kind of just speak to a little about child care in this state, maybe just give us a framework, and then maybe a little bit about some of the challenges we're facing.
Happy to do that. So when I came into the legislature, I thought that I would work on childcare because it seemed like a universal issue. It is nonpartisan. Everybody's got the problem. And I've learned so much. I didn't have any particular expertise when I came in, but I've learned so much since I came in. And I do like to level set. Where does the state come into childcare? And the state supports its citizens in childcare if they are working or if they are going to school. And why do we do that? It is not a welfare program. It is not we feel so sorry for you. It is because we need those people to be in the workforce. Childcare is a business and economic necessity. And America is realizing this. Oklahoma is realizing this. Everybody is starting to understand that families are not just going to figure this out. So we, as a state, decide, okay, this young family who is early in their career, they are working, they have to pay for this expensive service. This service cannot be regulated, down-regulated, cut red tape into costing less. It's going to cost a family, depending on where they are in the state, depending on what they need, depending on how old their child is. It's going to cost them anywhere from $700 to $1,200 a month. That is what it costs because it is labor intense and it is so very important. It is people taking care of our most precious resource, our babies. So we need this to have the safety and the protections and the human element of it. We cannot AI our way out of these costs. So the state says, okay, this is a costly thing. We're going to help families do this because we need them to go to work. That's good for us. It's good for these kids to be in a safe environment if that's what the family needs. So we're going to share in the cost of it. And that is where the state comes in. So what I've tried to do is think about innovative ways in which, without a lot of interest in spending more on what the state invests now, how can we think about innovative ways to solve some of the problems? So the problems in childcare are this. It's a difficult business model, right? You are talking about high needs for human capital. You've got, in Oklahoma, we have the gold standard, which is 1 teacher for 4 babies, so children 1 and younger. That's a very high ratio or you say low ratio of people taking care of those children. So that's a really big cost. It's extremely hard to get those individuals into that employment. So we were able to last year think about how we can get more early childhood and childcare teachers in the classrooms, because that is the biggest problem that we have. When you think about the structure of this, it isn't that we don't have enough childcare buildings. That's what I really want people to understand. When we say we have childcare deserts, we do massively. When we say we have, a shortage of childcare or people are on wait lists, it is not because there isn't a building for that. It is because those places cannot be staffed. And the reasons that they cannot be staffed are multiple, but it's mostly because the way the state pays for the childcare is an extremely low wage. The average childcare employee makes $11.47 an hour. That is an average. Okay? So when we are asking them to be in this extremely highly regulated industry where they are required training, and if something goes wrong, it's on their employment record, they're on a registry for the rest of their lives. It is a lot easier to work at Target for $15 an hour. So it's extremely hard to get these people into this environment. So last year we were able to pass a bill called Strong Start, first new investment in childcare with state dollars in about 30 years in the state of Oklahoma. And what that does is it offers our childcare employees who have children, their childcare will be covered by the state. And that is a recruitment and retention tool. So that was very exciting. And where I wanted to go was expand, solve problems.
Right.
Because every time we put a new childcare teacher in a building, that opens up anywhere between 4 and 20 slots. A new building doesn't open up any slots. A teacher in a classroom opens up slots. So that was a problem we were trying to solve. We come to this year, and now we are facing a proposed $50 million in cuts to childcare. And for something that we all agree is a business and economic necessity, it is economic infrastructure, this is devastating. And I think part of the issue is we've been saying for a couple of years, childcare's in crisis, and people think that, we're crying wolf. $50 million in cuts, we are going to meet the moment in which everyone in every sector, from families to employers to our tax base, is going to feel the effects of those cuts. It will be severe. These are small businesses throughout our state, and there is over 300 of them have closed just between June and December of 2025. I don't have the most recent numbers, but that's equivalent to 6,000 slots that we've lost. And the reason for that is there's already been some slow and steady cuts leading up to this big $50 million proposal. The $50 million cut proposal would take 35% of our families that are receiving support from the state so that they can go to work off of those rolls.
Wow.
So those families, 35% of our families that are now receiving support from the state, young families making less than $60,000 as a family of 4, are now going to be faced with a $1,200 bill. And if they have 2 children,
can't afford
Can't
it.
do it.
Cannot afford it.
They can't afford it. This building, we talk a lot about regulations, and a lot of people don't like it, or wages, and we talk about our babies. We love the babies. But we have to be highly regulated in this because they're these young lives. And we also should pay them more because we know that if they're unable to make their bills, it's that understanding that they're already unsettled coming to work. So with Integris having to close their childcare that's in my district, what can we learn from that closing? Like I think that when things happen, we have to shift. We have to find different ways of what we're doing. What do you think that we could learn in that closing?
So when we look at the reasons that they've given for the closing, it is the economic model.
Mm-hmm.
It is the economic model. And I think, Oklahoma and all other states are trying to think innovatively. In Europe, the way this works is in the first year of life, there's paid family leave.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most expensive time. And if you think about it like that, we are paying less for paid family leave for someone to stay home with their infant child, mom, dad, in a combo, however they want to do it, than we are paying for infant child care.
Mm.
Okay? Infant child care costs more than college tuition in the state of Oklahoma. So after that, in other countries, other models, after your first year of staying home with your infant child, when their brain is being built and they need you the most and you're getting prepared for kindergarten to go and be ready to read and all those kinds of things, that's happening way back when you're born as a new baby.
Early intervention is the best.
And so after that, it's just like public school.
Mm-hmm.
The state recognizes that it is part of their economy. The state recognizes that it's good for kids. The state recognizes how much economic loss they face when they don't have a robust system. And so the kids go at 2 and you go just like you're going into public school. And if you don't like it, in other countries, you can go and pay for it. You can stay home. You can do whatever you want.
Have the option.
Right. We're never probably going to meet that model. So we're thinking of all these different ways that we can alleviate cost and create better models. And from the Integris model, part of what I think the issue is there is just the cold, hard cost of operating. If I understand their model right, they're trying to create a very affordable price for their employees, and they just can't do it and keep it staffed well in the way that they want to, especially with the predicted cuts from the state. And my hope is that we won't actually cut $50 million, but realistically, there will be a cut. It might be half of that. It might be $30 million cut. I don't know. That's going to be a conversation that's going to be happening throughout the end of May. And we need our businesses, we need our families to speak up about this. Everywhere I go, I'm intersecting with this from a very business perspective. And what I hear from employers is this is a really big challenge. The state of Oklahoma provides us all kinds of economic incentives about how to innovate, how to create new product, all kinds of tax credits for those kinds of things. What they need an incentive for is how can they help their employees with childcare and solve the childcare issues. We have the Tri-Share bill that's a pilot idea for this year. This is in about 12 states, and what it does is it offers employers a way to participate in helping their employees with the cost of childcare. The employee pays a little bit, and the state matches up to a third. And we have a very specific income band, because if you're a lawyer like I was when, my third baby was born, and my husband and I both had full-time jobs, we didn't need that. But there's a different income band that does need that support, and those are the hardest people for employers to get. So whether it's in manufacturing or, direct labor, those kinds of things, those employers desperately need those people to have childcare so they can come to work. Aon in Tulsa, Integris that's thinking about their workforce, not just their nurses, but everyone who takes care of that facility and that building and cleans up every day. Those are the people that we desperately need to figure out childcare for, because it just doesn't work into their budget. It can't work into their budget. And they are going to make a couple of different decisions. 30% of our eligible workforce leaves the workforce because of a childcare challenge. 30% of eligible. But secondarily, those folks also may decide not to leave and then put their child in a situation that they are doing everything they can to ensure it is safe, but it isn't going to have to fire exit. It isn't going to have a daily curriculum. It isn't going to have 3 healthy meals planned out for them today, like every licensed childcare in Oklahoma, whether it's a family home childcare or a center-based childcare, is required to have. And so we just are putting so much at risk by cutting. And like I said, when I came, my hope was to add.
Well, one of the things that I always think about is when I met with Oklahoma City Public Schools with their early education program, and they said that 60% of the kids who came into pre-K had not had any previous childhood experience, like in a child care center or anything like that. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, what a huge gap of learning that is for a child. When they hit 4, and kind of the struggles that come with that. But the other piece that I wanted to ask you about is we do leave money on the table at the state level from a federal match, correct? To be able to get more to invest into this.
That's correct. We invest the very minimum to get the match that is offered to us. And so we can invest more as a state. And the federal dollars get very, very complicated. This is one place where federal dollars have not been cut. And there's investments by the current administration believing in this narrative and, truth that this is a part of our economy. And so there's been investments and there's tax credits for employers at the federal level that the state really shouldn't waste. We shouldn't match those. We should augment those and really think about that. And we have a lot of members, especially on the House side, that are very interested in this and understand how critical it is to our economy and have constituents calling them, talking to them about a childcare closing in their district. I just sat with someone yesterday that is closing the last childcare in Tecumseh.
Oh my gosh.
It's very, very difficult. We have people in Moore. We have people in Bartlesville. I mean, there isn't a community that is not facing closures. And it's just going to get worse. And some of these child cares, if they close, even if we are able to save them from some of the cuts, it's very difficult to come back online when you close a small business. That landlord, I have 2 landlords in Tulsa reaching out to me because they lease to child cares and they're going to lose business. So they're all of a sudden a child care advocate.
Yeah.
Right? But if that child care moves out, that landlord's going to move on. They've got to move on. And this is a place that is very specialized, has, what that child care needs as far as small sinks, small toilets, all the kinds of things. But once they move on to a different tenant, that place is gone. That child care reopening can't afford to create that new space where they meet all the regulatory requirements of what you need to have a healthy space for kids. In terms of being school ready, for those families that need this, it is, again, a place where they are going. There is a curriculum that they actually post every single day at every childcare that they're required to. And if you ever meet with a childcare provider, you learn that, one, these people came into it because they are passionate about babies and young children, and also because they know that they are building people that are going to be a part of their community going forward. And they become a trusted adult that is caring for that child long beyond their child care experience. Miss Jackie in Tulsa is a matriarch of the community and has cared for so many children. And even when they're in high school and maybe getting a little bit off track, Miss Jackie can be called upon to have a conversation with that child to say, you know who you are, you know what you can do, and I'm here because I remember you and your dreams. You can do this.
Miss Jackie.
So it's just very, very, very important. It has so many bottom lines. It just compounds and compounds.
Well, the bottom line, you and I both experienced this because our legislative assistant had a child last year, or 2 years ago.
Almost 2 years
ago. Time flies up here, but I know that even the challenges of her in childcare at the time, it's her health is important too. And so talking last summer with some of the young marrieds that were here and talking about children, and there was staff that was engaged, and they were all talking about childcare and how important it would be that they could go at lunchtime and just be able to just look, just to say hello, or not have to be caught in traffic and just could get their child. I think that we need to look at that long game too. You know, how do we, I think it should be important for employers that the health of our moms and dads. So is the parent leave, what would that look like if the TriShare was here at the Capitol?
I think the important thing is to recognize cost and where it makes sense to have and where we have a constant census, because the business model is difficult. But a beautiful model is Tiny Tigers in Broken Arrow. They run a full child care for Broken Arrow Public Schools and for their teachers. And they have approached me about doing an interim study to talk about how they don't get any help from the state in that. They don't take subsidy from the state because they have a building that's ready. So they have some lesser costs and they can keep their costs down. But the demand is so big, they want to see where we can have the state participate in that. And these are the innovative things that I'm thinking about, right? Is where, how do we maybe incentivize where it makes sense? And that's why Integris is heartbreaking, because they do have a big census, right, of people that are needing that. And that's what you need. You need volume. When Broken Arrow Public Schools is a large system that has lots and lots and lots of young mothers that they want to retain as teachers. It's great for our teacher recruitment and retention. We know if we can keep a teacher in K through 12 through their first 3 years, they may be a long-term teacher. And we all know we desperately need that right now. That's the time in their life where they may be having their first baby. And if there is a Tiny Tigers available to them, it's very important. So where we have high concentration, it makes sense. But our Chelsea is a great example of someone, she drives 30 minutes at the end of the day to cobble together this childcare between her mom and her husband, and has yet to figure out a good solution that is close to her, that is affordable, and that works for their family. And what we want is for those options to be more plentiful and honestly more affordable.
You know, one of my friends, we ended up having both of our boys within 6 months of each other. She worked full-time, I worked part-time. And one of my biggest frustrations for her was this, not only this like inflexibility of her work to like allow her to drive. You know, she had advocated for herself to breastfeed, to be able to leave work an hour early to pick up her baby so that she could go and breastfeed her baby. And then I hear also if a parent doesn't bring their kid to childcare that day, certain number of absences count against payments that a childcare provider. And so we don't, to your point, have this wiggle room of like, what is a family lifestyle to utilize childcare, but also to be present with kids. It's like a utilization system that doesn't account for any flexibility either. Do you think that's true? That's just my observation.
Yeah, I do think that's true. In the current environment, what you're talking about is what we call an enrollment versus attendance model.
Right.
And so in an enrollment model, you get paid for an entire month at a time because these children are enrolled in your child care. And that is so much better for a small business to build their budget on, because the way that it works in Oklahoma is we are paying for attendance, and it's literally I swipe in, and if I swipe out, I get paid for half of a day. And if my child is sick for a certain number of days, then I only get a certain number of 6 days allowed. Theoretically, that model is better. I will be very frank and tell you that right now, our attendance model is serving us very, very well, because it is rejecting some of the fraud allegations, because other states, including Minnesota, that had an attendance model, an enrollment model, allowed for that. So but it is very, very cumbersome. And again, these small businesses that are doing this job that allows our workforce to go to work, whether you're a nurse or in oil and gas or a software programmer or a legislative assistant, you're using childcare. So it's very, very hard for those small businesses to create a monthly budget. Who creates a monthly budget on whether a customer comes in that day or not?
Do we have enough employees, or we don't have, or are you part-time? Or
Right.
I mean, that seems, it's not a model
and where
that
we
you
have
can
this
count on.
highly regulated environment where we have to have so many teachers per child. When I'm losing children, I can't let that teacher go, because it might change next week, and then I would be out of compliance. And something I want other people to understand about, when I say highly regulated, it's not just on a piece of paper. These child cares, home child care, center child cares, are getting inspected, checked on a minimum of 4 times a year, and typically more than that, because there is any kind of, if there's any kind of issue, there can be spot checks. It's just a very, very truly highly regulated environment where they are evaluating you constantly. And we want that.
Yeah.
And we want that, because again, they are taking care of an extremely vulnerable person who cannot speak up for themselves. So you want all adult eyes in there. You want to make sure all the safety precautions are there. You want someone to come and say, hey, that cord is in the wrong place. Hey, that door over there is blocked. Hey, this baby is not sleeping on their back. You want all of that. And that costs money when that is well spent.
Yeah,
I agree. I do think about our Chelsea, and I want to make, I know you'll do fantastic things, but it is important for her health, and it takes a lot from businesses to lose great employees. And so us making that the benefit or whatever we give should be great. I think it, especially with all the young great staff and people that work up here, I'd hate to lose them, because that costs us money too.
Absolutely.
Well, is there anything else you want to talk about all things childcare? Anything else you want to talk about? Something that your bill, you brought up a little bit about TRICARE, or anything else that you'd like to talk about childcare?
I do want everyone to know that in addition to these innovative ideas that we have, 2 things. One, where we can change regulation and where it doesn't compromise quality or safety, we're bringing those bills forward. I have passed 2 of them in the past 3 years. I have 1 of them that is pending now. We are doing those things. But we cannot regulate down to, an individual child care that's licensed for, let's say, 40 people is set to lose about $20,000 a month with the cuts. There is no $20,000 of deregulation that saves them dollars. We can't make it up in deregulation. And so that is something that I think is really important for everyone to understand, that absolutely cut red tape where we can, but there isn't any making it up there. And then the other thing that I want people to remember and understand is that we should be thinking flexibly about this. We should be thinking about different and innovative ways. We don't have to just constantly think about, we've got this subsidy model and this is how it works. We want to be thinking about it in ways to do things differently and incentivize employers to do things and help out and solve the problem, because public-private partnerships is probably where it's at. It may be that the state is not going to save childcare on a broad scale. It might be saving it on these innovative things. So we need to be thinking about it like that.
Well, the state of Oklahoma is lucky to have you.
Yes.
You definitely are a hard worker, and as being a mom and understanding, especially all of what your kids go through, you are definitely educating all the people that are on this side and on the other. So thank you so much for all of your hard work for that. This is the time of our show that we like to have our guests ask the Ellens a question. So, what is your question?
My question is, what is your all-time favorite country music song?
Oh my goodness.
Gosh. I knew you were going to ask me about...
Okay, mine is always Jody Messina, Heads Carolina, Tails California. That's like...
Great song!
I love that song. It is hard to karaoke to, but I freaking love that song. So...
Great
It's
song.
my go-to in the car.
I mean, I wish I could remember all the names. I mean, Johnny Bush's songs, or even Willie Nelson, or your daughters have given me some new, I can't really think of one, but who I like to listen to currently. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Tyler Childers, I really like him.
Yeah.
And of course, Jamie Johnson. I listened to him this morning when I was putting my makeup on, which always makes me very happy because his songs are so feel good, you know? And so that's also what I get from not only having the best roommate, but also the best one that teaches me more about music. So thank you.
Good, I love that.
What's your favorite country song?
Yeah.
Well, my favorite older country song is Place Out on the Ocean by Jamie Johnson. And my favorite newer country song is Anything by Cody Johnson. It is my very, very favorite of all time. I'm on my countdown to 2 weeks. Oh, yes.
Where is he coming to?
North Little Rock.
Okay. Oh, my gosh.
Yes. So I've seen Cody 4 times. And he actually also sings one of the greatest, 2 really great covers, which he finally recorded. But he sings a Marty Robbins song called I'm Acting Single. And it's one of my favorite covers of all time. Actually, I don't think that's Marty Robbins. It's, I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, that's a cover. And then he covers the Dixie Chicks. Which are now the Chicks.
The Chicks, but yes.
And he sings Traveling Soldier.
Yeah.
And he's now recorded that. And so this is why we are driving to North Little Rock Countdown.
Oh my gosh.
2 weeks from Saturday.
Yay!
To see Cody Johnson, the Rock and CJB Band.
So it's not only childcare, it also is Cody.
Yes.
Cody Johnson.
Yes.
So, well, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today.